We're excited. There's a recording in progress. There it is. You've been informed. This is what we'll use to put online so that you can go back and refer back to this if needed, especially for our partners who are maybe experiencing this or going through this for the first time. So welcome so much. Welcome so much. Welcome to all of you. We're so glad you're here. We're excited to kick off this process again. I do want to thank again too some of our team members, Olivia Gaines and Emily Garner, who are on our call today. And then we'll be getting it kicked off soon with our president and CEO, Stephanie. So I'm going to share my screen for our presentation. And we'll get going. You guys are we'll have a time for questions towards the end. And then if you all want to follow up with any individual questions, you're welcome to do that too. But thank you guys again for being here. If you're just now getting on, please put your name and email in the chat and make sure your sound is on mute, and then we'll open it up for some questions here in a second. So we are here for our 2024-2025 funding workshop. So right now we are in the middle of our 2023-2024, right in the middle of that funding, and we're gearing up for our next round. And so thank you all for tuning in and for being a part of this, and hopefully we answer a lot of questions. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off first to our president and CEO, Stephanie Linkus.
All right. Thank you, Shauna. It's so great to see so many familiar faces. It's even better to see so many new faces. We have had so many new inquiries about partnering with United Way, and that's exciting for us that we have so many wonderful agencies in the community that want to do good work alongside us. We are obviously, still going by our scenic report and have our same vision, which we'll just go over really quickly, as we strive for a community where everyone has the opportunity for a better tomorrow. That's our why. The commonality between all of us is that we just want to help people. And so being united and having a combined impact certainly moves the needles on some of our community's most pressing needs. At United Way, our bold goals are breaking the cycle of poverty, giving kids an equal chance, meeting immediate basic needs, and building pathways to a healthy community. We let our scenic report, as I said before, guide us. We love every nonprofit agency in the community, and obviously we wish we could just have unlimited funds to serve everyone and be able to invest in all programs. However, unfortunately, that's not the case. So we really use our scenic report to tell us what are the most pressing needs and where are there gaps in services. And then our volunteers use that information to hone in on these issues. For example, last year, we always seem to have more requests than we have funds available. And last year we actually had over $300,000 more in requests than we had funds. So we have to make some really tough decisions. But we're working really hard to continue to grow our campaign. The Health Endowment Fund, we hope will continue to grow, and we can continue to reach more people in our community. During this actual funding cycle, you guys, the ones who are currently funded partners, are projected to serve over 31,000 people. I mean, that's just incredible, those numbers, and what an impact that we're all having together on the community. And then, of course, this year we had $2.1 million that we invested into 40 programs, and those 40 programs are within 31 partner agencies.
Yeah, so the scope of that work is huge. So we first want to just celebrate that. The work that our current funded partners are doing. You guys are on the front lines, and it's this idea of creating an opportunity for a better tomorrow for everyone comes with us working together. And more than just numbers, I mean, this past year, that was 200 households moving from homelessness to stable housing, over 3,500 individuals maintaining housing through eviction prevention, upwards of 5,300 individuals getting their basic needs met, over 7,000 getting access to healthcare services, and then over 10,000 children reached in our community through enriching after school care, advocacy, and health services. So again, we just want to celebrate that, because that is what this work is about. That is what our goals are about. And what this, as we look towards this next cycle, and as we keep fine tuning things and making things better, what that is all about. So, and in the words of one of our community partners, this is what happens when agencies are united in their care for our community and work together so that everyone can thrive. So thank you all for being a part of that. And again, to those who are tuning in for the first time, we're excited to for you to learn more about this work. And then if that turns into a partnership down the road, we're just excited to see our community grow. For those who are new or tuning in for the first time, or just get lost in the cycle sometimes, this is what our community impact cycle looks like each year. So we have our community needs identification committee, that which we call scenic. So if you hear the term scenic, that's what we're referring to. That committee that is identifying our community's greatest needs, collecting data from multiple different streams of data from our partners, our funded partners. And we'll get into a little bit more of where that data comes from. But through those means, we're identifying, what do we think the most pressing needs in the community are? Because there are a lot of them. We have a lot of good partners who are working towards those, but what are our most pressing needs? How can we work together around those? Then we have requests for proposal indicators that are created, which is this right now. And so you guys are learning about what those focus areas are, what are the indicators we're looking to track. That goes back to our how and our bold goals. And we'll have a document that we're sending out about that. And we have our letters of intent, where you are sharing the amount you are requesting that you think you could use to meet these focused needs. And so that is a brief overview of your program, of your target population, and then our reports around those indicators, those focused things that we're trying to meet in the community. Then those who get through the letter of intent phase will go to the full application phase, where then our impact panels, which are made up of our donor volunteers, review those and are asking the questions: is this meeting these focus areas? Is this an agency that looks healthy and is ready to meet some of these needs? And our agencies have the opportunity to present and answer questions from the panels as well. Then those final funding decisions are made, and then agencies are funded. We're reporting on needs and those outcomes, and the process continues. So right now we're kind of at step 2, moving towards step 3, which we'll get more into that in just a little bit. And again, we'll have a time for questions at the end, especially for those of you who are new to this process. Just a little bit of context we like to give. The RFP process is one that has had a lot of people look over it, a lot of data that goes into it, and the actual process in and of itself has, looking a lot of other United ways, having our board, our donors, our volunteers speak into that, and then our partners, again, with that funding and feedback. It was originally created, again, with the scenic report, that community needs identification committee, ALICE, which we'll get into in just a second, if that's a new term for you, that report. And then the summary report, which is given every summer. We just finished that process recently, and I'll be sending out that document. And then other data points, including census data, partner reports, like I mentioned, other local agency data and case manager input, local coalition data. We really want to pull from a lot of different places and then see what needs are rising to the surface, which we'll get into in a second. Again, so ALICE, if that is a new term for you, ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. United Ways are really looking at this population. It's those who may earn more than the federal poverty level, but may not be able to afford basic needs, especially if a crisis were to occur. So we saw a lot more of that over COVID and just the increase of basic needs in general. For those in our community, Bradley and Polk counties, 46% of our community is considered ALICE or below. So we're looking about that 50% of our community. And so we are focusing on that population and below, and that's kind of what we look at through our indicators. This is the population that we're looking to serve, that ALICE and below as well. So getting into our Community Needs Identification Committee report, that's scenic. We have 4 focus areas every year, and we do have a new one. So even if you're a previously funded partner, this is going to look different for you as well. So stable housing continues to be a need in our community, access to quality childcare, access to quality healthcare, and then we did have transportation. And while transportation is we actually still have it as kind of like a need that's related to a lot of these. The ones that really has risen to the top is mental health care and then substance abuse support, and the aspects that go along with that. So that is a new one that you're going to see. We had some mental health indicators in our healthcare focus area last year, and what the CENA committee saw from the different data is that one has really just risen to the top, to the point where it felt like it needed to be kind of its own category and in connection with some of the substance abuse support and prevention as well. So that is a new one. And if you are have questions more about that, again, we'll have time for that for sure, or a meeting with me later on. I do want to highlight some of the main indicators that are new with that. For stable housing, 2 new kind of pieces of that we are looking at are habitability and then permanent supportive housing. Habitability is a huge need for renters, but also for homeowners who maybe are seeing their home become dilapidated. But for those who are moving into housing, who maybe haven't are moving from homelessness or having to leave a rental situation because of habitability, we want to see that increase in our community because that is a need that also impacts housing stock. Another one is permanent supportive housing vouchers. This is a specific type of voucher that helps individuals who are experiencing chronic homelessness be able to get into housing at an affordable cost. So that is a kind of a really specific one, but it's such a high need in our community because there aren't a lot of those, or any of those, I should say, permanent supportive housing vouchers really available for those in our community who need it right now. Then we move over to our mental health care and substance abuse. Some of these were indicators last year, and we've just moved it into their own category and added some others. But mental health providers with negotiated lower rates for uninsured and underinsured clients, clients receiving mental health care or counseling, number of clients receiving psychoeducation support. Last year, we used the language of mental health education, but we really felt that psychoeducation gets this across a little bit more because it's more about intentional mental health education and education about emotions, disorders, and other mental health needs. So we really want to focus on the intentionality of that support. And then clients receiving substance abuse treatment services. So these are the new ones. And I'm going to be sending out a document with all of these. And so we're going to go quickly through all of these. I'm not going to read them all to you because you're going to have this information. But these are all of the stable housing indicators, our childcare access indicators. Those have remained the same from this last year. Healthcare access, and then that mental health care and substance abuse support. We really want to focus again on meeting these needs, creating access for our ALICE population and below as well. So these are our focus areas for this year. So when it comes to becoming a partner, or those of you who are applying again, we have our agency criteria. An IRS 501c3 determination letter is kind of that first key piece. You have to be addressing one of the 4 focus areas. And again, we really want to target in on those indicators so that we can see that that focus change, because as we report on those, then we can see how we're truly moving the needle and the percentage of our community seeing increases and decreases in those certain areas. A recent independent audit report. I know for smaller agencies, if you're not over a certain threshold, that might just look like a financial review, and we can talk about that if you have more questions. List of current board members, the ability to track outcome indicators so we can know just our overall performance and report those, which we use a system called EC Impact, which I will talk about shortly. And then be willing to participate in our partner roundtable discussions within the funding cycle. We have a housing coalition that is very active, has done a lot of put a lot of data into really helping us know what the needs are in the community that Olivia Gaines helps to facilitate, and we'll have other opportunities around these other 3 focus areas to speak into those as well. But these are kind of the key things. So for those of you who are looking at applying for the first time, you will have this information, but just as you're trying to figure out if this is a good fit, this is kind of what we look at as that kind of that initial vetting. Here is dates to remember. Here are your dates to remember. Again, this will be going out to you, but our first thing that's going to be due is our letter of intent, which is an EC Impact. We'll get to that in a second. And the letter of intent will be live by the end of this week. So those of you who have done this in your pros, be on the lookout for that in a couple days. And that'll be live for you all. Then if you move on to the next round, and that's when we're asking those questions of, do they meet the 6 criteria? Do they fit? Is this a organization that we're ready to invest in, that can meet the needs together with the community? After that goes through our community impact team who review those, then that full application status will be put out in early January. From there, you can see the actual application, if you're invited to fill out one of those, is Friday the 16th, and then we'll get to our other things further into May. So it's December, and we're planning for way in advance, but this is how it goes. So, and then the funds would actually be available July 1 through June 30th, with June 10th being the last day to request. So that's down the road. You'll have all that information, but just so you have an idea of what that is looking like. And I just want to note too that Thursday, December 14th, instead of a Friday, because I know it's often on a Friday. So these are our dates to remember. For EC Impact, and I know being someone who was in a program who had to fill this out and does the reports every month before I was in this role, I always needed a refresher every year. So hopefully this is helpful for everyone. But how to apply? So you all will need to go onto EC Impact, and I'll give you the next slide that link. But if you're a returning applicant, once that letter of intent is live, on this left-hand side, you're going to just have to hit request grant application. It's not going to automatically show up. You'll have to select that. For those of you who are new to this process, you will create an EC Impact account. And you'll do that through this link. It's found on our website under EC Impact, unitedwaycoe.org/EC Impact, and select the agency portal. So pretty simple. I'll send out this PowerPoint as well, so you'll have that link, but there are a lot of different ways that you can find it, especially just through our website. Then from there, you will have to go in under letter of intent and select a program. So again, that's not something that's going to automatically load for our returning partners, or for new partners. You'll have to select a program, or if you haven't done this before, create a new program, and then it will all populate for you. This is what it'll look like once it's ready to submit. It'll all turn green. There'll be a button to say submit, and then you'll be good to go. I am available for questions, and I'll give you a link where if you're needing a little bit more direction, or if you just want to talk about what this could look like for you, we'll definitely have space for that. I do quickly want to just go over what that's going to look like in your letter of intent. So we'll have organization updates, where it's basic information. Are the funds used in Bradley and or Polk County? That's another key thing. We cover Bradley and Polk counties, and so we need to know that. Is your organization a 501c3 designated nonprofit? And then do you agree to provide an IRS 990 and financial audit? Pretty simple. Again, this letter of intent is not a lot to fill out, because if we want you to go through the process, we want you to, you're not going to make it to the next round, or if we're going to have questions there, we want to not make it too arduous. And so then we will have, you'll talk about your amount requesting, the program details, select the area, the focus area, and then you'll have about, I believe it's like 4,000 characters to get to talk about what your program does, how you see the fit, and it meeting the need that we've outlined here. This was one of the biggest questions last year. So for those of you who are returning, hopefully this clears this up. If you're new, hopefully this makes perfect sense. If not, I will take all your feedback. So we're looking at some of the languages, previous year results. I've played with some of the language, but trying to make it as clear as possible. But previous year is previous funding year. So since this is the 24-25 funding year, the previous funding year is 23-24. So I have 23-24 projected. So hopefully that helps make it clear as you're working through that. And then the current year, so the current year you're applying for, anticipated. So 24-25 anticipated. So how many people you are looking to serve, especially around that specific indicator. And so the needing, seeking, achieving, so then we can really look at that percentage and knowing the percentage of the population who are getting that need met, and how we're moving the needle on that. So I hope that makes things more clear. Again, I know that one was more confusing, especially for this stage. So let me know if it's not, returning partners, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, those are the key pieces of the letter of intent. Just really wanting to understand how you're meeting this need, how that is, what that looks like as far as those focus areas, and then the actual service there. And as you all are looking through this, as you guys are considering maybe for the first time if this is a fit for you, or just wanting to know kind of what even some of that process looks like for the letter of intent phase. Some 3 key questions are: does the program align with one of the focus areas and indicators of the 2024-2025 RFP document, which you will get? I will email that to you afterwards. Does the impact of this program produce lasting change? We don't want to just put
a band-aid.
We don't want to put a band-aid. Yes, like Stephanie said, we really want to make sure that this is moving the needle and producing lasting change for individuals in our community who need it. And then does the program feel like a gap not met by other programs in the community? So some questions for you all to consider as you're thinking through that, some questions that our letter of intent team thinks about as they're reviewing these, just so you all know. And our overall goals really for this whole process, number one, at the end of the day, we want to work together to move the needle on the community's most pressing needs with those limited resources. And as Stephanie mentioned, we're working hard to meet our campaign goal, a high campaign goal, and things are looking really good. And are blessed to be able to get to facilitate our health endowment funds locally. But we also typically do have more requests than we have funds for. So we want to make sure that is meeting the most needs. We want to strengthen and support our nonprofit partners through the process. That's you guys. That's a priority for us to make sure that we're supporting you all well through the process, that you're able to talk through your program well, and to make sure that that's aligning well and that we're supporting you in that way. And then we also want to expose our donors to the wonderful work that you all do. We have over 60 donors who volunteer their time to review the applications at that stage, because we want it to be donor driven, people who have buy-in and who want to see these needs in our community, who have an understanding of what this looks like. And so it was really cool last year to hear, especially for our health endowment programs, to go through for the first time, and for a lot of our donors to hear about programs that they didn't know a whole lot about before. And so it was really neat to hear that and to highlight you all through the process and the work that you get to do. So we want to continue that for sure. So, and all of this is working to create an opportunity for a better tomorrow. And that's what we're all about. And especially around those key needs that we're seeing, we're really excited, even looking towards the next several years of the ways we can keep making this process better, the ways that we can look at broad ways to make our community better. And so we're going to keep doing that and keep seeking those opportunities and that feedback. And we're really grateful to get to do that with you. So that is the overview of letter of intent, our updates, that process. Please let me know if you have questions. That QR code is something I will send out, but if you want to connect to that, that will go to my calendar if you're wanting to schedule a meeting, but I'll also send out that link. So at this time, are there any specific questions? If you're wanting to hang on until a little later, once people are off, I'll stay on the call if you have one, but if there's one you want to ask for the group, do we have any questions?
Hey, and I'll just add that, we encourage innovation and collaboration. If any of you are new, or even if you've been a funded partner and you have a new idea and you want to run it past us before you submit the letter of intent, we are happy to do that. I mean, obviously we can't guarantee anything and get in the heads of our donor panel. But, we would love to talk through it with you if you have a new idea, or if you're changing what you're asking for funds for. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Shauna.
Yes,
about that.
Yes, please feel free. And you can, again, send an email or schedule a meeting for us. We'd love to see, we want to see that, the innovation, and be able to encourage that in new ways too. And so we're also excited for looking down the road for that as well. But any questions before we wrap up? Okay, we'll hop off and let's say I'll ask my questions later. No, we will wrap up soon, and then I will stay on the call if there are any other specific questions, especially those who may be on here for the first time. I will be sending out this recording, the link to the sign up, the PowerPoint, our scenic document, and then our RFP document with all of those indicators towards the end of this week, when I'll also let you know when the letter of intent is live. But certainly, as you guys are brainstorming, or if this is the first time you're applying, or if you have a new idea or just a question, please feel free to reach out to me. We're both very willing and want to be able to do that and support you all well through this process. So I'm gonna stop my share. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you guys. We appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time. Hopefully this is a good 30 minutes so you can get back to all the wonderful things that you're doing. Feel free to stay on if you have any other questions, and we appreciate you all.